Good day, everyone. Today I'm going to discuss the chapter 7 entitled Correlation and Simple Linear Regression. The first topic is the 7.1, the correlation. Statisticians invented a quantity called the correlation coefficient as a way of describing how closely related two physical characteristics were. The first published correlation coefficient was due to the English statistician Sir Francis Galton, who in 1888 measured the heights and forearm lengths of 348 adult men. Actually, he measured the distance from the elbow to the tip of the middle finger, which is called the cubit. If we denote that the height of man by x sub I and the length of his forearm by y sub I, then Galton's data consists of 348 pairs, quantity of x sub I and y sub I. So we have a notes to remember. First, positive values of the correlation coefficient indicate that the least square line has a positive slope, which means that greater values of one variable are associated with greater values of the other. So, pag positive values ang correlation coefficient, um, ang iya nga sina nga slope kay positive man. So, second, negative values of the correlation coefficient indicate that the least square line has negative slope, which means that greater values of one variables associated with lesser values of the other. So, pag negative values naman, ang correlated coefficient mo, ang iya sila nga slope kay ga negative man or decreasing. Third, values of the correlation coefficient close to 1 or to negative 1 indicate a strong linear relationship. Then values close to 0 indicate a weak linear relationship. Fourth, the correlation coefficient is equals to 1 or to negative 1 only when the points in the scatter plot lie exactly on a straight line of positive or negative slope. In other words, when there is a perfect linear relationship. Fifth, as a technical note, if the points lie exactly on a horizontal or a vertical line, the correlation coefficient is undefined because one of the standard deviation is equals to 0. Whenever r is not equal to 0, x and y are said to be correlated. And last, if r is equals to 0, x and y is said to be uncorrelated. So in figure 7.1, it is all about the heights and the forearm lengths of 348 adult men. On the horizontal or the x-axis, we have the height of men, and in the vertical or the y-axis, we have the forearm length of men. As we can see, in figure 7.1, the slope of this figure is positive. So it means we have the positive values of correlation coefficient, and also we have a positive slope. Next, we have the correlation coefficient formulas. R, or the correlation coefficient, is equals to 1 divided by n minus 1, multiply the summation of quantity of x sub I minus the mean of the x values or datas divided by the standard deviation of x values, multiply the y sub I, quantity of y sub I minus the mean of y data or values divided by the standard deviation of y values or y data. So we can write the equation of 7.1 in a way that is sometimes useful by substituting for the standard deviation of x is equals to square root of the quantity of x sub I minus the mean of x values squared divided by n minus 1. And for the standard deviation of y values, we have this square root of summation of quantity y sub I minus mean of y values squared divided by n minus 1. We obtain that the formula for correlation coefficient is equals to R is equals to summation of quantity x sub I minus mean of x values multiplied the quantity of y sub I minus mean of y values divided by square root of summation of quantity x sub I minus mean of x values squared multiply the square root of quantity y sub I minus mean of y values squared. So now let's move on to the example 7.1. An environmental scientist is studying the rate of absorption of a certain chemical into skin. She places differing volumes of the chemical on different pieces of skin and allows the skin to remain in contact with the chemical for varying lengths of time. She then measured the volume of chemical absorbed into each piece of skin. She obtains the results shown in the following table. We have the volume, time, and the percent absorbed. So first, we're going to get the mean of x values and the mean of y values. So mean of x values is equals to 2.35 and the mean of y values is equals to 67.52. So first, we are going to get the difference of x sub I minus the mean of x values. So bali x sub I minus mean of x values. So ang results na ay 0.05 minus 2.35 is equals to 2.3. Diba katatlo man siya mag-repeat ng 0.05. So, bali, ang tatlo ka trials or result na 0.05 minus 2.35 is equals to negative 2.3. Then, sa second naman, kay 2 ml, 2 minus 2.35 is equals to negative 0.35. Then last, kay 5. So 5 minus 2.35 is equals to positive 2.65. So ang next natin na kukunin ay yung difference of y sub I minus mean of y values. So first, of the percent absorbed is 48.3. So, isasubtract natin yung y mean or yung mean ng y values is equals to 67.52. So, bale, 48.3 minus 67.52 is equals to negative 19.22. Second, we have the 51. 51 minus 67.52 is equals to negative 16.52. Third, we have the 54.7. 54.7 minus 67.52 is equals to negative 12.82. Fourth, we have the 63.2. So 63.2 minus 67.52 is equals to negative 4.32. Fifth, we have the 67.8. So 67.8 minus 67.52 is equals to positive 0.28. So, sixth, we have the 66.2 minus 67.52 is equals to negative 1.32. Seventh, we have the 83.6. 83.6 minus 67.52 is equals to positive 16.08. Eighth is equals to 85.1. So, 85.1 minus 67.52 is equals to 17.58. And last, we have the 87.8 minus 67.52 is equals to 20.28. So, after nating nakuha yung mga datas ng x sub I minus the mean of the x values or datas and the quantity of y sub I minus the mean of y values or datas, i-multiply natin. So, kukunin natin yung product dahil, di ba, ang correlation coefficient natin is equals to summation of x sub I minus mean of x values multiply the y sub I minus y sub minus mean of y values or data. So, kukunin natin yung product ng x sub I minus x, then y sub I minus mean of y data. Negative 2.30 multiply the negative 19.22. It is equals to 44.206. Next, the negative 2.30 multiply the negative 16.52 is equals to 38.996. Third, we have the negative 2.3 multiplied to negative 12.82 is equals to 29.486. Next, we have the negative 0.35 multiplied to negative 4.32. We have the positive 1.512. Next, we have the negative 0.35 multiplied to 0.28 is equals to negative 0.098. Next, we have the negative 0.35 multiplied to 1.32 is equals to positive 0.462. Next, we have the 2.65 multiplied to positive 16.08. We have the 42.612. Next, we have the 2.65 multiplied to 17.58. We have the 46.577. And last, we have the 2.65 multiplied to 20.28 is equals to 53.752. So, after getting the product of the values, isa-sum up natin. So, we have the 44.206 plus 38.996 plus 29.486 plus positive 1.512 minus 0.098 plus 0.462 plus 42.612 plus 46.577 plus 57.752. So, ang answer sina kay amo na ang is equals to 256.505. So, amo na siya ang numerator sang aton nga coefficient correlation. Ang correlation coefficient naton nga formula. Diba, ang formula sang correlation coefficient naton kay R is equals to summation of x sub I multiply the minus mean of x multiply the quantity of y sub I minus the mean of y. So, ang 256.505, ano na siya ang aton nga numerator. So, next natin nakuhaon kay aming square root of quantity of square root of summation of quantity x sub I minus mean of x squared. So, kukunin muna natin yung values ng x sub I minus mean of x value squared. So, di ba, yung x sub I minus mean is equals to 2.3. So, isa-squared lang natin yon. So, first is equals to negative 2.3 squared is equals to 5.29. Second, you have the negative 2.30 squared is equals to 5.29. Third, we have the negative 2.30 squared is equals to 5.29. Next, we have the 0.35 squared is equals to 0.12. So, next, we have the negative 0.35 squared. Also, we have the 0.12. Next, we have the 0.35 squared is equals to 0.12. And next, we have the 2.65 squared is equals to 7.02. 2.65 squared is equals to positive 7.02. And last, we have the 2.65 squared is equals to 7.02. So, after getting the x sub I minus the mean of x values, isa-sum up natin yung mga nakuha nating result. So, ang summation nito ay is equals to 37.29. So, bali, ito na yung result ng x sub I minus summation of x sub I minus mean of x value squared natin. So, isa-square root pa natin yan later. So next, we have the summation of y sub I minus mean of y values. So we have the negative 19.22 squared is equals to positive 369.41. Next, we have the 16.52 squared. Result is 272.91. Next, we have the negative 12.82 squared is equals to 164.35. Next, we have the negative 4.32 is equals to 18.66. Next, we have the 0.28 squared is equals to 0.08. Next, we have the negative 1.32 squared is equals to positive 1.74. Next, we have the 16.08 squared is equals to 258.57. Next, we have the 17.58 squared is equals to 309.06. And last, we have the 20.28 squared is equals to 411.28. So, isa-sum up din natin to. So, it is equals to 1806.06. So, ito naman yung values ng summation of y sub I minus the mean of y values. So, pwede na nating makuha yung values ng R. So, from the formula given, R is equals to summation of x sub I minus mean of x values multiplied to the quantity of y sub I minus mean of y values divided by square root of summation of quantity x sub I minus mean of x values squared multiplied to the square root of summation of quantity y sub I minus mean of y values squared. So, we have R is equals to 256.505 divided by square root of 37.29 multiplied to the 1806.06. So, ang R is equals to 0.988. The scientist plots the percent absorbed, again both volume and time, as shown in the following figure. She calculates the correlation between volume and absorption and obtains correlation coefficient, or R is equals to 0.988. So she concludes that increasing the volume of the chemical causes the percentage absorbed to increase. She then calculates the correlation between time and absorption. So same process lang to siya. So nakuha ang correlation coefficient kay R is equals to 0.987. So, nag-plot anay siya ng volume and percent absorbed. So, first, from the horizontal or x-axis, we have the volume. Then, the vertical or the y-axis is the percent absorbed. So, first, ang volume kay 0.05. 0.05, tapos, ang iyang percent absorbed kay 48.3. So, amo na siya ang first naton nga giplat. Then, second, we have the 0.05. Same lang siya sa volume. Then, ang result kay 51. Ang na daw, medyo taas-taas siya sa 50. Third, we have the same 0.05 gihapon siya ang volume. Pero, naglain siya sa percent absorbed. So, we have the 54.7. Then, next, we have the 2 ml. Dili naman siya sa 2. Tapos, ang iyang percent absorbed kay 63.2. Next, we have the still 2 ml, pero ang iyang percent absorbed kay 67.8. So next, we have the 2 ml, tapos ang iyang percent absorbed kay 66.2. Then last, we have the 5 ml, dili na siya sa punta. Tapos, ang iyang percent absorbed kay 83.2. 83.6, I mean. Then next, we have the still 5 ml. Tapos, ang iyang percent absorbed kay 85.1. Tapos, ang last, we have the still 5 ml. Tapos, ang percent absorbed niya kay 87.8. So, amo ni siya ang pag-plot sang results sang volume or the correlation coefficients ng volume and percent absorbed. So, sa left side, kay amo naman ni siya ang plot sang time and percent absorbed. So, in the horizontal or x-axis, amo na siya ang time. Then, ang sa vertical or the y-axis, amo naman siya ang percent absorbed. So, sa time, may ara siya nga first kay iya nga 2 hours. So, 2 hours dire. Tapos, ang percent absorb niya kay 48.3. So, dire. Tapos, next, we have the still 2 hours. Tatlo siya ka 2 hours, pero different lang siya nga percent absorb. Sa ang first nga 2 hours kay 48.3, second nga 2 hours nga oras kay 51, then third nga 2 hours or nga result kay 54.7. So next, lima naman ni siya, tatlo naman ni siya ka 10 hours. So ang first nga 10 hours kay ang iyang percent absorbed kay 63.2. Tapos, ang second nga 10 hours kay 67.8 ang iyang percent of absorbed. Tapos, ang third nga 10 hours kay 66.2. So, ang last kay may ara siya nga 24 hours. So, ang 24 hours, siya sang percent absorbed kay 83.6. Second nga 24 hours kay 85.1, and last sa 24 hours kay 87.8. She concludes that the increasing the time that the skin is in contact with the chemical causes the percentage absorbed to increase as well. Are these conclusions justified? So, ang answer kay no. The scientist should look at a plot of time versus volume, presented in the following figure. The correlation between time and volume is R is equals to 0.999. So these two variables are almost completely confounded. If either time or volume affects the percentage absorbed, both will appear to do so because they are highly correlated with each other. For this reason, it is impossible to determine whether it is the time or the volume that is having an effect. This relationship between the time and volume resulted from the design of the experiment and should have been avoided. So, ang are kay ang justify niya kay if mag-increase ang time sa nga naga-contact siya sa skin, ga-cause daw siya sang pagtaas ang percentage absorb. So, ang iyang figure dire or ang pagplot kay volume ang sa x-axis, tapos ang time ang iyang vertical or y-axis. So, first, we have the 0.05, tapos ang time kay 2. Tapos, tatlo na siya ka-repeat, pero dito sa figure kay isa lang. Tapos, we have the 2 ml, then 10 hours. Tatlo gihapon na siya ka-repeat. Tapos, we have the 5 ml and 24 hours. So, ang iyang answer sini kay the correlation values are correct, but her conclusions about causation is not justified because the volume and the time increase together. We can tell which one is actually causing the higher absorption, the volume, the time, or both. So, in the figure 7.2, presents the result of a study of a relationship between the mean daily temperature and the mean daily humidity at a site near Riverside, California, during a recent winter. Again, the points are clustered around the least squares line. The line has a negative slope, indicating that days with higher humidity tend to have lower temperature. So, ang figure 7.2, nag-represent siya sa humidity and temperature 4 days in a recent winter in Riverside, California. So, ang x-axis kay the percentage of humidity and the y-axis is the temperature in degrees Celsius. So, ang iyang slope kay negative slope. So, let's move on to example 7.2. The scientist in example 7.1 has repeated the experiment, this time with a new design. The results are presented in the following table. Volume in time and the percent absorbed. So, bali, same lang siya sang volume and but different sang time and percent absorbed. The scientist plots the percent absorbed against both volume and time, as shown in the following figure. So, in the left side sang figure kay in between sang volume and percent absorbed. So, in the x-axis, we have the volume, and the y-axis, we have the percent absorbed. So, ang first nga result kay 0.05, tapos ang iyang percent absorbed kay 49.2. Then second kay 0.05, then ang percent absorbed niya kay 51. Third 0.05, tapos ang percent absorbed niya kay 84.3. Next we have the 2, tapos ang percent absorbed niya kay 54.1. Next is 2, percent absorbed niya kay 68.7. Next, kay 2, tapos ang percent absorbed niya kay 87.2. Next is 5, tapos ang percent absorbed niya kay 47.7. Next is 5, tapos ang percent absorbed niya kay 65.1. And last, we have the 5 ml and the percent absorbed is 88.4. So, in example 7.2, same process sa 7.1. First, we will get the mean of x data. Mean of x data is equals to 2.35 and mean of y data is equals to 66.19. So, ang first nga moon kay kwaon natin ang x, quantity of x sub 1 minus mean of x is equals to 2.3. Tatlo na siya kabilog na nag-repeat. Then, ning 2 minus 2.35 is equals to negative 0.335. Tatlo gyapon na siya nga nag-repeat. Then, 5 ml minus 2.35 is equals to positive 2.65. Kaya tatlo gyapon na siya mag-repeat. Then, y sub I minus y mean, kwaon na siya isa-isa. Then, next, kay kunin natin yung product ng x sub I minus mean sang x. Then, y sub I minus mean sang y. Then, after natin makuha yung product, i-total natin. After nating matotal, so, i-total natin yung x sub I minus mean sang x squared. Then, y sub I minus y mean squared. After natin matotal, yung value ng product ng x sub I minus mean of x times y sub I minus means of y is equal to 35.34. Then, ang product, ang sum sang x sub I minus x or mean of x is equals to 37.29. Then, summation sang y sub I minus mean sang y is equals to 2,277.61. So, substitute natin na siya para makuha natin ng value sang r. So, para makuha natin ng value sang r, bali 35.34 divided by square root of 37.29 times 2,277.61 2,277.61. So, bali, ang value sina kay is equals to coefficient correlation is equals to 0.121. She then calculates the correlation between volume and absorption and obtains R is equals to 0.121. She concludes that increasing the volume of the chemical has little or no effect on the percentage absorbed. She then calculates the correlation between time and absorption and obtains R is equals to 0.952. She concludes that increasing the time that the skin is in contact with the chemical will cause the percentage absorbed to increase. Are these conclusions justified? So, ang answer is, these conclusions are much better justified than the ones in example 7.1. To see why, look at the plot versus volume in the following figure. This experiment has been designed so that time and volume are uncorrelated. It now appears that the time, but not the volume, has an effect on the percentage absorbed. Before making a final conclusion, the increasing the time actually causes the percentage absorbed to increase. The scientist must make sure that there are no other potential confounders around. For example, if the ambient temperature varied with each replication of the experiment and was highly correlated with time, then it might be the case that the temperature rather than the time was causing the percentage absorbed to vary. So, this experiment has been designed so that the volume and time are uncorrelated. In topic 7.3 or figure 7.3, we have a different correlation coefficient in positive. So first, we have the correlation coefficient of 0. As you can see in the figure, there's no linear relationship. The points are scattered randomly with no pattern. Then, changes in one variable do not predict changes in other. So, ang points niya kay scattered. So, wala, di ba, may makita sa linear relationship. Then, in correlation coefficient of 0.30, iyang relationship kay weak linear relationship, there's a slight upward trend but still a lot of scatter. So bali may ara na ta nga makita nga pa-upward siya, tend to positive slope siya, pero damo gyapon nga nang naka-scatter gyapon siya. Scattered gyapon ang iyang plot. Then in correlation coefficient of 0.50, moderate positive correlation. So, medyo makita na naton nga ang iyang slope kay in a positive values or positive correlation. A clearer upward trend, the points are more aligned but still widely spread. So, makita na naton nga ang iyang mga points kay pataas, which is positive, pero hindi gid siya sang kaayo nga mahambal na positive gid siya kay damo pagyapon like ng kalat gyapon ng iyang points. Then sa correlation coefficient sang 0.70, may ara na siya, strong positive linear relationship. So, bali, makita na naton, medyo may ara, naging siya nga form nga positive correlation na siya. Points are closely clustered around an upward sloping line. So, bali, upward sloping line, makita na natin nga pataas ang iyang points. Then, sa 0.90 na graph kay dire makita na gid naton very strong positive correlation na gid ang iyang slope. Points are tightly packed along a line with a steep positive slope. So tightly packed na siya along a line. So bali medyo tumpok na gid siya. Medyo nagatumpok na siya sa kag makita na gid nga positive slope ang iyang pag-form. Then sa last na graph kay correlation coefficient of 0.95, dere extremely strong positive correlation. Points are almost exactly on a straight line. The relationship is nearly perfectly linear. So bali dere makita na gid naton nga ang iya nga points kay ara gid siya sa positive slope. Let x and y be random variables with a bivariate normal distribution. Let the population correlation between x and y. Let quantity x sub 1 and y sub 1 and quantity x sub n and y sub n be a random sample from the joint distribution of x and y. Let R be the sample correlation of n points. The quantity is W is equals to 1/2 ln 1 plus R divided by 1 minus R is approximately normal distributed with mean given by mu is equals to 1/2 ln 1 plus population divided by 1 minus population, and variance given by variance is equals to 1 over n minus 3. Note that mu is a function of the population correlation of population. To construct confidence interval, we will need to solve equation 7.5 for population. We obtain population is equals to e raised to 2 times mu minus 1 divided by e raised to 2 times mu plus 1. Example 7.3. In the study of reaction times, the time to respond to a visual stimulus x and the time to respond in auditory stimulus y were recorded for each 10 subjects. Times were measured in meters. The results are presented in the following table. In x values, we have the 161, 203, 235, 176, 201, 188, 228, 211, 191, 178. And in the y values, we have the 159, 206, 241, 163, 197, 193, 209, 189, 169, and 201. Find a 95% confidence interval for the correlation between the two reaction times. So, ang first natin nga himuon sini kay kwaon ana naton ang correlation coefficient sang given sang values. So bale ang kwaon ta ang iya nga mean sang x kag mean sang y. So ang mean sang x is equals to 197.2. Tapos ang mean sang y is equals to 192.7. So ang first naton nga kwaon kay x sub I minus mean sang x. So bali 161 minus 197.2 is equals to negative 36.2. Then 203 minus 197.2 is equals to positive 5.8. 235 minus 197.2 is equals to positive 37.8. 176 minus 197.2 is equals to negative 21.2. 201 minus 197.2 is equals to positive 3.8. 188 minus 197.2 is equals to negative 9.2. 228 minus 197.2 is equals to positive 30.8. 211 is equals minus 197.2 is equals to positive 13.8. 191 minus 197.2 is equals to negative 6.2. And last, we have the 178 minus 197.2 is equals to 19.2. Then, sa quantity 1 sub y sub I minus mean of y values, so i-minus na naman ang mga datas sa mean sang y values. So first, we have the 159 minus 192.7 is equals to negative 33.7. Next, we have the 206 minus 192.7 is equals to positive 13.3. Next, we have the 241 minus 192.7 is equals to positive 48.3. Next, we have 163 minus 192.7 is equals to negative 29.7. Next, we have the 197 minus 192.7 is equals to 4.3. Next, we have the 193 minus 192.7 is equals to 0.3. Next, we have the 209 minus 192.7 is equals to positive 16.3. Next, we have the 189 minus 192.7 is equals to negative 3.7. Next, we have the 169 minus 192.7 is equals to negative 23.7. And last, we have 201 minus 192.7 is equals to 8.3. So after naton makuha ning x sub I minus mean sang x kag y sub I minus mean sang y, kuha naman natin ang product nila nga dalawa. So, i-multiply lang na siya. Then, iya nga, after naton makuha, i-total natin na siya. So, bali ang total niya kay 4,204.6. Then, kuha naman natin ang squared sang x sub I minus mean sang x. Then, ang squared sang y sub I minus mean sang y. So, tapos, after natin makuha, i-total naman natin ning x sub I minus mean sang x squared. So, bali ang total niya kay 4,867.6. Then, ning quantity y sub I minus mean sang y squared, kuha naman nato ng total sini. So, bali ang total sini kay 5,456. So, para makuha nato ning value sang r, bali r is equals to summation of x sub I minus mean sang x multiply to summation of quantity y sub I minus mean sang y over square root sang x sub I minus mean sang x squared multiply to square root sang summation of quantity y sub I minus mean sang y squared. So, bali, i-substitute na lang naton. Bali, ang iya nga answer kay r is equals to 4,204.6 divided by square root of 4,867.6 times 5,456.1. So, bali, ang nakuha natin nga r is equals to 0.8159. So, after makuha natin siya, bali, di ba nakuha na natin yung r niya nga r is equals to 0.8159. I-use natin ang formula sa equation 7.4 which is the W is equals to 1 half ln 1 plus r divided by 1 minus r. So, i-substitute natin ang r nga 0.8159 sa equation. So, bali 1 half ln multiplied to 1 plus 0.8159 divided by 1 minus 0.8159. So, bali, ang W naton nga nakuha kay is equals to 1.1444. Tapos, di ba may ara nga formula sa variance. We're getting the W. Since W is normally distributed with known standard deviation is equals to square root of 1 divided by n minus 1, n minus 3. So, bali, substitute natin na siya sa equation. So, bali, square root of 1 divided by 10 minus 3, makuha natin ng 0.3780. So, amo na siyang equation 7.6 tong variance, pero gin-square root na lang kaya ang ginapangita kay standard deviation. A 95% confidence interval for mu is given by mu is less than 1.1444 minus 1.96 times 0.3780 but greater than to 1.1444 plus 1.96 times 0.3780. So, bali, mu is less than 0.4036 but greater than 1.8852. To obtain a 95% confidence interval for population, we transform the inequality using equation 7.7. Obtaining population is less than e raised to 2 0.4036 minus 1 divided by e raised to 2 times 0.4036 plus 1, but greater than to e raised to 2 times 1.8852 minus 1 divided by e raised to 2 times 1.8852 plus 1. So, bali, the population is less than 0.383 but greater than to 0.955. For testing null hypothesis of the form population is equals to population sub O is population is greater than or equal to population sub O, and population sub O is less than to population, where population sub O is a constant not equal to 0. Quantity W forms the basis of a test. So next, we have the 7.4. Ang figures ng 7.4 kay the negative correlation coefficient. So first, we have the correlation coefficient of negative 0.20. Ang interpretation sina kay very weak negative correlation. The points show very little downward trend. They're mostly scattered. So, bali, scattered siya. Then, next, we have the negative 0.40. Ang interpretation sini kay weak negative correlation. There's a slight downward slope in the clouds of points. So, bali, medyo makita na natin ang may ara siya nga slight nga downward slope. Then next, we have the correlation coefficient of negative 0.60. Ang interpretation sini kay moderate negative correlation. So, bali, medyo nakita natin. So, bali, points start to cluster more clearly around a downward sloping line. So, bali, medyo nakita na natin ang iyang pag-downward sang slope. So, bali, ang next is negative 80. So, dire, makita na natin nga may ara siya nga strong negative correlation. So, bali, the points are tightly grouped along a line that slope downward. So, bali, medyo na-group na siya, nga makita natin nga ang iyang slope kay downward. So, next, we have the negative 95, 0.95. Ang interpretation sini kay very strong negative correlation. Points are very close to a perfect line sloping downward. And last, extremely strong negative correlation. The points are almost exactly on a straight line with negative slope. So, bali, straight line na gid siya kag makita na ang iyang mga points kag makita na gid nga ang iyang slope downward. So, bali negative slope na gid siya. Example 7.4. Refer to example 7.3. Find the p-value for testing null hypothesis. Population is lesser than or equal to 0.3 versus the alternative hypothesis is population is greater than 0.3. So, ang iya nga under the null hypothesis, we take population is equal to 0.3. So, using equation 7.5, mu is equals to 1/2 ln 1 plus population divided by 1 minus population. So, substitute natin na. So, bali mu is equals to 1/2 ln 1 plus 0.3 divided by 1 minus 0.3. So, bali makuha natin yung value is equals to 0.3095. The standard deviation of W is standard deviation is equals to 1 divided by n minus 3. So, bali substitute natin na siya. So, bali ang standard deviation is 0.3780. It follows that under null hypothesis is W is distributed normally with mean 0.3095 and variance of 0.380 squared. So after that, the observed value of W is equals to 1.1444. The z-score is therefore z is equals to 1.1444 minus 0.3095 divided by 0.3780. So, ang iyang nakuha nga value kay 2.21. The p-value is 0.0136. We conclude that p is greater than, or the population is greater than 0.3. So, for testing null hypothesis for the form of population is equals to 0, population is population is less than or equal to 0, or population is greater than or equal to 0. A somewhat simpler procedure is available when p is equals to 0. The quantity u is equals to r square root of n minus 2 divided by square root of 1 minus r squared. So, ang step by step sa pagkuha sining answers sa example 7.4. So, first step kay kuhaon naton ang W. So, bali, W is equals to 1 half ln 1 plus r divided by 1 minus r. So, bali ang r naton, di ba, kay 0.8159. So, bali, i-substitute natin tong sa r naton siya nga diri sa formula naton. So, bali, ang W natin nga na-calculate kay 1.1444. So, step 2, mean and standard deviation under null hypothesis. So, if null hypothesis is equals to 0.3, then the mean of the transform distribution is mu is equals to 1 half ln 1 plus population divided by 1 minus population is equals to 1 half ln 1.3 divided by 0.7 is equals to 0.3095. So also, ang standard deviation is equals to square root of 1 divided by n minus 3. So bali ang value niya kay square root of 1 divided by 10 minus 3 is equals to 0.3780. Then, after sina, i-compute natin ang z-score. So, bali z-score is equals to 1.1444 minus 0.3095 divided by 0.3780. Makuha natin yung value diri kay 2.21. This tells us that the observed of W is 2.21 standard deviation above that we'd expect if population is 0.3. Then next is find the p-value. Now use the standard normal distribution to find the probability of seeing a z-score of 2.21 or greater. So bali p quantity is 2.21 is greater than p is quantity of z is greater than 2.21 is equals to 0.0136. So, bali, since the p-value is equals to 0.0136 is less than 0.05, we reject the null hypothesis. So, bali, there is a significant evidence that population is greater than 0.3. The true correlation is greater than 0.3. In 7.5, how the correlation coefficient works. In the first quadrant, the z-scores quantity x sub I minus mean of x divided by standard deviation of x, and y quantity of y sub I minus mean of y divided by standard deviation of y are both positive. So their product is positive as well. Thus, each point in the first quadrant contributes a positive amount to the sum in equation 7.1. In the second quadrant, the z-score for the x coordinates of the points are negative, while the z-score of y coordinates are positive. Therefore, the product of the z-scores are negative. So each point in the second quadrant contributes a negative amount to the sum in equation 7.1. Similarly, the points in the third quadrant contributes positive amounts, and the points in the fourth quadrant contribute negative amount. Clearly, in figure 7.5, there are more points in the first and third quadrants than in second and fourth. So the correlation will be positive. If the plot had a negative slope, there would be more points in the second and fourth quadrant, and the correlation coefficient would be negative. So in the last example, the example 7.5. Refer to example 7.3. Test the hypothesis. Null hypothesis is equals to population is less than 0 versus alternative hypothesis, population is greater than 0. So our solution, under the null hypothesis, we take population is equals to 0. So the test statistic, U has a student t distribution with n minus 2 is equals to 8 degrees of freedom. The sample correlation is R is equals to 0.8159. So the value of U is, equation niya kay U is equals to R square root of n minus 2 divided by square root of 1 minus r squared. So, substitute natin ning r nga 0.8159 multiply natin sa square root of 10 minus 2 divided by square root of 1 minus 0.8159 squared. So, bali ang value sang u kay 3.991. So, consulting the student's t table with 8 degrees of freedom, we find that the p-value is between 0.001 and 0.005. It is reasonable that to conclude that p is greater than 0. So, alternative hypothesis.